So much news, so little time. I am honored to be able to bring it to you today. Don't worry, I'm not going to rehash the story we covered yesterday, the statement from Joe Biden, the pardoning of Hunter Biden. But there is one specific element I'm going to continue to remind you of because this story will continue to develop. It was the time period that he pardoned from, starting in January 1st of 2014. Why is that so important? When was Joe Biden vice president? It was from 2009 through 2017. Those 3 years will come into very clear focus. There'll be much more information I'll be providing you on why he more than likely picked that time period, trying to avoid, in many's opinion, future investigations that would be launched by the Trump administration. Specifically, oh, come on, I want to see in the comments below, why did he pick that time period? It's especially important. I'm going to do it on a special broadcast for you. But it's just a part of the circus, isn't it? Many of us feeling the Biden administration has always been an absolute clown show. And then Joe Biden decorates the White House. And she went to exemplify exactly what so many of us felt about the White House. Had to share it with you. Didn't want you to miss these photos. Can't wait till next Christmas. Maybe we'll actually have tasteful decorations. But I enjoyed many things in the news yesterday. We don't always bring the doom and gloom that the news often provides for, at least if you listen to mainstream media, which I hope you don't, because I'll bring you all the important headlines here so you don't have to dig and you don't have to research, but you also get the clips that are really important. Like nothing better than watching Dan Goldman stone-faced responding to something he once stated about Trump, and now, I couldn't believe it, CNN making him face the music.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends and anyone who had any access to him. And I think you see that in this case, where he kept on, and Merrick Garland kept on, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney to investigate the president's son. If there is not an indication of the independence of the Department of Justice beyond that, I don't know what we could look for.
What does that feel like, watching yourself back then, reassuring people that Biden was not going to issue a pardon for his son?
Okay, there's no reason to listen to Dan Goldman because now he will just continue to lie and try to dig himself out. What did that feel like, Dan? My question is this. It's a little bit easier of a question. Because now that Biden, I apologize, has pardoned his son, what could anyone say about Trump's cabinet picks? Because what Biden just did is set a precedent that the Democrats can't now defend against. Everything that they had blamed Trump for, they now did. How are they going to point the finger of blame for past crimes, past indiscretions of the cabinet officials that they need to appoint? It should be a simple question. If Joe can pardon his son for actual legitimate crimes, then how can you look at a cabinet official and not simply push him through? That story is going to develop, but it all leads into this moment that somebody poked the bear. Obviously, they've been doing it for years now. But Trump finally unleashes his fury, and it actually comes to the benefit of each and every one of us. We, the people, will be so represented by so far what he's put forth. Now, we made one huge error. I'm going to cover that for you today, right after this brief break. So I hope you all know by now, first question, are you subscribed to the channel? If you're not, make sure you are. If you think you are, make sure you are. Make sure the bell is checked to all so you actually see my notifications come up on your phone. Now, if you don't want notifications from every news site that exists in the living universe, I work hard here to bring you all the major headlines so you don't have to search them out. Always provide references, always provide resources, everything you need to assure the information I'm giving you, you can vet out yourself. If you want to support me, there's a platform here. I'd love you to do that. Or if you want more news, I just don't like asking for things for free. No, I'll give you more work. And we dig in every day at Restricted Republic. The catalog has grown daily. Lee Saban and I publish there information, not only that you get here with all the commercials and interruptions removed, but exclusive content day after day that can only be found there. My exclusive Republic report that I give every other day with everything to keep you up to speed. I need you there today. It's your means of supporting me. It would mean the world to me. Use discount code Independence, $4 a month. Best part, you can cancel anytime. I'm going to give you that rate for 2 years. And on top of that, I'm going to give you 14 days for free, simply to check out the platform. If you believe in what I'm doing, I need your support to continue to do it. As you notice, there's no advertisers here. So I rely on you for news to continue. Get over to restrictedrepublic.com today. Now let's get back to this broadcast.
But Joe Biden's character as a public servant is what drove him to make clear that the law applies to everyone. His decision not to pardon his son is not an expression of restraint or removal in any way from what his son has gone through and is continuing to go through, but of principle.
Ouch. Jen, that aged terribly now, didn't it? So much of this saga has aged terribly. And it's so important to remember because this exemplifies, again, what the administration, what the mainstream media has been telling you for years and why now we have and we will have a different president in place. Because when they can look at you this clearly to your face and tell you what ultimately turned out to be a lie, every decision that was made has to be questioned.
Presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well,
I just said no. I just answered.
The president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Man, Tim Young, thank you for that. If you want to follow him, it's at Tim Runs His Mouth at X, of course. But once you're caught in a lie, the best thing to do is to not continue to lie. Or, even worse, attempt to gaslight the American public. And who would ever gaslight the American public? Well, there is the queen of gaslighting, and that is none other than Karine Jean-Pierre. Listen to her answer here. You don't see her on screen. You just hear the audio. And again, exemplification of why this administration needed to go.
You have said repeatedly yourself since the election, the president has said for months, no pardon was coming. I wanted to ask you, could those statements now be seen as lies from the American people? Is there really a credibility issue here given now this announcement?
First of all, one of the things that the president always believes is to be truthful to the American people. That is something that he...
And why did I stop it there? Because the only honorable answer, actually she had two choices to be honorable in answers. One would have been, I formally resign. Because that would be honor. And that would teach our children and our grandchildren what honor is once you've been told a lie. But that's not what happened. But justice, she was told what to say by Biden. Well, then are you going to represent somebody that lied? Even worse is when there's evidence behind it. President Biden pardons his son, Hunter Biden. This on NBC News. This just posted, if I remember, I thought it was, December 1st, 2 days ago. Within this article was a very important part. Not only the part where, of course, he said, I will not pardon him. We know that was never going to happen. It was this. The president has discussed pardoning his son with some of his closest aides, at least since Hunter Biden's conviction in June. Said two people with direct knowledge of the discussions about the matter. They said it was decided at the time that he would publicly say he would not pardon his son, even though doing so remained on the table. Honesty, integrity, very important thing when you're running for public office or you're serving in a public office position, especially as president. The White House responded to this reporting nearly 24 hours after publication to deny in a written statement from the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre that reiterated Biden made a pardon decision this past weekend, because that's what she stated. Unfortunately, these articles come out, and I will dig them out. Now we could play what Whoopi Goldberg said, but honestly, I'm not going to put you through having to listen to The View any further. So what did she say? Don't call Joe Biden a liar to her co-host. But that's what he did. Why is it so hard to admit defeat? The Democrats will never admit defeat. Very important as we move forward in this saga. But there's people within the Biden inner circle that aren't taking this lying down. Following Hunter Biden pardon, prosecutors push back against criticism of charges. Of course, we got a response from Donald Trump before I show you the actual court documents. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been in prison for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice because Biden set the standard. Cabinet officials should go through. J6ers should be exonerated because that's what he did for his son. If you represent we the people must all be equal. But this isn't equality and justice now, is it? He has destroyed the Democrats for so long. So what happens immediately thereafter? Hunter Biden, December 1st, defendant's notice of pardon. In other words, hey, court, I got a pardon. You got to drop this thing, man. You've got to let it go. Defendant Robert Hunter Biden respectfully provided notice of full and unconditional pardon that requires the dismissal of the indictment against him. And they expected it to end there. They didn't expect a response. The United States of America, David Weiss to be more specific, government's opposition to defendant's motion to dismiss the indictment. The United States of America, by and through its counsel of record, hereby submits this opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss the indictment contained in defendant's notice of pardon. The defendant's motion should be denied, since there is no binding authority on this court which requires dismissal. I'm sure Biden wasn't expecting that. But there's a lot of unexpected things happening right now, isn't there? Things that you should be a little shocked by. Chad Chronister would be one. I told you if Trump makes a mistake, I will call it out. And in my opinion, Chad Chronister is a mistake. Because if you listen to the people he serves out of Tampa, and now he's been nominated to serve as the administrator of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, you would learn Anthony Sabatini here. This man's nomination must be blocked. He was a tyrant during COVID. I had to sue Hillsborough County to stop the insanity he created. We need a DEA director who believes in freedom. Announcing the arrest of Dr. Ronald Howard Brown, a pastor at the River at Tampa Bay Church, who intentionally and repeatedly disregarded state and local public health orders. That was one reason why people are saying this appointment shouldn't go through. His efforts on diversity when Trump is trying to stop the diversity, equity, and inclusion agendas. He's trying to remove them from the military and multiple forms of government, but yet he appoints someone who reinforces it. And adding insult to injury, the donations that he provided were to none other than Barack Obama, Chad Chronister, and the donations he made to the Obama campaign. Of course, this set people off. He let 165 criminals go because they couldn't socially distance in jail. You understand now why so many are fighting back. I want to make sure you realize that news. But now let's get into Trump's fury. You know he imposed or threatened to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Oh, he's done much more than that behind the scenes. Actually, this man has served to secure the border more not being president than the Biden administration did in their entire time of being in presidential office. Thank you, real Donald Trump, from Joni Ernst, for doing more to secure the border in the last 30 days than President Biden has done in the last 4 years. Why? Because Mexico, although they said they would help, but they wouldn't help, ended up doing something about it. You see the Associated Press article referenced. Activists say Mexican authorities have broken up 2 migrant caravans heading to the U.S. That is action without even being in the Oval Office yet. But that was just the beginning. See, he laid the hammer down on Trudeau, unleashed a little fury at a dinner table. Enough to get Trudeau nervous. An uncomfortable laughter ensued. What did he say to him?
From 2 people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy. Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
No fear. This man is coming in with an axe to grind. He learned from his mistakes. He's making the proper maneuvers. He's putting the world on notice that a new sheriff's in town. And in this case, the right sheriff's in town. But that's not the total fury yet. Because Trump needs to set a global precedent. Our enemies of Russia and China and the multiple terrorist organizations that just want to see harm done to the United States need to be put back on notice because they have been running roughshod over us. Knowing the Biden administration was unable or unwilling, it seems at times, to do anything to preserve the freedoms, liberties, and safety of the American people, it's going to take a whole different leader now, isn't it? I'm done talking about Ukraine, even though unfortunately I'll continue to have to bring it to you because there'll be more developments in that. Ukraine now shoveling back, as I've reported to you. I'll put a link to the video above, or if you're restricted, just go back to the video and watch it. It's important because there's going to be future developments on that as everybody tries to drag their feet until Trump is back in office, knowing his action will be completely contrary to the Biden administration's actions thus far. But what about those hostages in Gaza that still are hostages? The Washington Post reporting, monitoring the status of hostages still in Gaza after Hamas's attack. A total of 251 people were taken October 7th of 2023. It's December 3rd of 2024. 63 still remain. What's the Biden administration done about it? Ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. That's all we hear. These people have been in captivity for 422 days. Trips Trump off. It would trip me off. The first people I'd be looking to free are them. Because I have to establish a precedent, a new precedent, that the United States is taking a leadership position again in ensuring the freedoms of every individual. And so Trump unleashes his fury. Everyone is talking about the hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanely, and against the will of the entire world in the Middle East. But it's all talk and no action. Please let this truth serve to represent that if these hostages are not released prior to January 20th of 2025, the date that I proudly assume office of the President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity, those responsible will be hit harder than anyone has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now. And that, my friends, is why we need Donald J. Trump back in office. Those are the words with stern demeanor that take to incite change, to resecure freedoms, to reestablish the United States of America in the dominance position it so deserves. Without fear, through power. All you are is a stepping stone towards that agenda that they so desire. And Donald J. Trump just came with a sledgehammer to break down any hope of forward step progress. And for that, I am thankful, proud to be a citizen of this great republic of the United States of America. God bless America. God bless each and every one of you. Until next time, Justus Knight, signing out.